Good morning, everybody. Today is January 20th, 2026. It is 7:40 a.m. in the morning. This will be walk 513. And I actually wrote that I was going to do walk 514 today, but I'm not. I don't have time. We have a meeting that I forgot about. Oops. So, I'm going to try to get this thing up and running as fast as I can. I know usually that's not a good idea, but we're going to see what happens. I'm just going to have to pace myself when I speed this thing up. But today's topic is my favorite season and why, and then also what's your favorite season. If you would like to share why in the comment box below, then I always love hearing your stories. Okay, so I do have a little bit of a story to tell, but it kind of doesn't go with the topic. So I'm thinking maybe I'll separate that from this. Knowing me, I'll probably mention it anyway, and then just kind of lead into it tomorrow. We're inclined at 15. Let's see what this thing does. And surprisingly, it's actually really nice out here in my RV garage. That's awkward because it's so early in the morning. It's weird. It feels like a summer morning or something like that. And I know that it's cold outside because it's raining. But I don't know. Maybe it's because I just rushed out here. Okay, so we're going to go up 2 at a time and see what happens. So this is 1.2. It's 1.4. One 1.6. That's 1.9. That's 2.1. Now let's see if it goes up. Hopefully it won't go back down. Okay, that's 2.5. Let's see what it does. And I'm going to move the paper over now so that I can see the time. Okay, so I also might talk about why I don't really too much care for the other seasons. And I'll probably mention why I like them, they're just not my favorite. Okay, so summertime is my favorite season of the year. I don't like being cold. And I always make the joke that I'm a winter baby. Tomorrow is my birthday. And so I know that doesn't mean that I would like the cold, but for some people, it kind of does have something to do with the time of the year. I've met people that are like that. They were born in summer and they love it. They were born in spring, they love flowers, things like that. But mine is complete opposite. Plus, where I'm from in California, it gets hot. Okay, so I haven't mentioned this in a long time, so I'll tell you guys, just in case you haven't seen my channel. Where I live now, it gets colder than where I lived in California in Bakersfield. It actually lightweight snows out here. Now anybody watching my channel that actually lives here, especially my neighborhood, they're from all over and they will tell you that's not snow. Well, in comparison, to how often it would snow in Bakersfield, which is not very often, then for me, this is snow. And I call it snow globe snow. It's just pretty enough to look at, not enough to have to shovel your driveway. Well, the first year that we were here, I think we weren't even here for 6 months yet. Or it was about 6 months. I can't remember if it was that year that it snowed or the year after, but we were told that we bought the extra snow with us. And so I remember that. It was fun, but I couldn't do that on a regular basis. So, summertime. The thing I don't like about it, of course, the bugs. You guys know I'm not a bug person, okay? I don't do bugs. But the warmth, the not having to layer up, the choice of tennis shoes or sandals, and surprisingly, I am surprised I would say sandals because I don't like open-toe shoes. I would wear them before, but now in summertime, most likely you'll see me in flats. Traveling wise, some of the places that we go, the weather is usually about the same, so I know it's going to be warm and sunny there as well. Also, the sunsets, and if I catch the sunrise, they're really pretty. They're really pretty all throughout the year, but it's something about a summer sunset that I just really like. I think it's the colors in the sky. I'm not really a pool person, but if my family and friends want to go to the pool, then I'll get in. I'm more of the person that would just stick their legs in, but in the summertime, as you know, the pavement is hot around the pool. So that makes me go ahead and get in. But I'm not a person that really likes to swim, and I need to get better at it. So my area is the briefy area, and I'm cool. A nice soda, or whatever I want to drink, and I just sit there and watch my family and friends splash in the pool. Going out of town, when I mentioned it, it also obviously makes things easier because there's less to pack. So I can take a smaller bag. Now, when my husband watches this, he's going to laugh because I pack almost, what's the thing, like the whole house, right? When we go somewhere. I don't care if there's gonna be a washer and dryer. I don't like having to wash my clothes on vacation. I will, but I really would prefer not to. Now maybe toward the end of the trip, yes, but in the beginning, the first couple of days, we're probably just sleeping in unless we're in that town or city for a specific reason. The butterflies are already out flying around. I think they're really pretty. And I don't know, that's just my favorite thing. Now, I have a temperature I prefer, about 75, a slight cool breeze, and I'm good to go. There are some places I've been in the summertime, like Arizona and Nevada, and it was hot. Okay, that was a whole different type of hot. I thought Bakersfield was hot, but woo, it was hot, especially Las Vegas in July, ouch. It is, I don't know. I was gonna say it's extremely hot. If you've never been in July, you don't have to take my advice. I always say that, but I advise you pick a different month for Las Vegas because, oh my gosh, and Arizona, Phoenix, Tucson area. And some people are like, girl, look at the ocean, it's all of Arizona. Those are the only two places I've been the most. But yeah, summer is my favorite. Okay, so now we're gonna go through, oh, we're at 9 minutes and 38 seconds. If I think about anything else in summer, I'll let you guys know. Well, wait a second. Okay, so eventually I went from having 2 jobs and let's say doing like Avon or something, you know, on the side, down to just one. I was a substitute teacher and I liked the summer because of the time that you got off. I just liked it in general. I like to teach. I don't anymore, but it's something magical about it. And to see, you know, all the kids are happy, especially when it's warmer. You know, they're not all bundled up and teeth chattering like me in the winter or in fall or spring when it's really cold, on the days that it is. And so it overall seems to be a time of the year when everyone is happy. But the thing I didn't like about it was we could work during summer school, but back then, you guys ready for this? And anyone my age will probably remember this. You got out around the first week of June, and school did not go back into session until the 3rd week of August. Summer school started, I think, later in June. I don't exactly remember because I never went, ever, not even during my high school years. But it ended at, I would say, the beginning of July or something like that. I don't even remember. So still, there's a pretty lengthy time for summer. But yeah, so that was another thing I thought about, was usually if I went somewhere, that's when I would go. And then I've already talked about being a substitute, you control your whole schedule. And I was going to tell a story about a person that started working at one of the school districts and thought that it was okay to just put you in. And the thing about it was, well, I said, now I'm telling a story that's what I was going to tell. I just kind of let her know it's actually in the job description that you make your own schedule. And if I don't have an assignment, there's a reason. So I'll save the rest of that for another time. It probably won't pop up again. And I know, maybe right now I was just enough irritated to tell you guys just a little bit about it. But anyways, back to the seasons. Okay, so let's go with spring. Spring is a really pretty time of the year. And as you know, it's before summer. And well, depending on how you look at it, right? But in the year, it's before. And as much as I like the flowers, they've already started to bloom. It's just a nice time of the year. I didn't really too much care for rain before, because when I was younger, I'll say at least in high school, I used to pick out my clothes for the entire week. And even though we already would have seen the news, there's a possibility that I wouldn't have seen it that morning because of how early I had to be to school. If I remember correctly, in high school, I'm trying to think, we had to be at school earlier than the elementary schools. So sometimes sun's barely coming up, and by the time it's up, you're on the bus. I'm trying to think. Oh, we're in spring, right? I was still thinking about summer. So anyway, if it was going to rain, or if it did rain, it would throw off everything, because there was a chance, if there was some wind, now this warm summer day that had hardly any clouds in the sky, if there were any, was now going to be kind of cold because of the wind and the rain. Obviously, Bakersfield is not a tropical area, so the rain's not warm. So then I would find out it's gonna rain the whole week and I would have to redo all my outfits. I mean, I would pick out everything, including the shoes. So it would be one of those back to the drawing board type thing. Obviously, here come the bees, which I'm allergic to. Here come the wasps. Here come all the bugs, right? And it was just, or even now, I don't think it bothers me as much. It's just not a fun time of the year for me, even though it's pretty. I'm not saying it doesn't rain in the summertime. I would have to say it just rains less. I don't want to say close to never, but you know what I mean. It rains more in the springtime. So seeing as how I don't really too much care for the rain, then surprisingly, I won't say it's the least favorite, but it is in the top. I mean, we're only rating 4 anyway, right? Seasons. Okay, so fall. Even though I don't like being cold, when it was switched from spring to fall, the first thing, you know, I'm probably gonna talk about this first, is the changing of the leaves, the colors, the browns, the reds, the oranges. I think fall, autumn, whichever word you want to use, is such a pretty season. It's just so colorful. It's cold, but not winter cold, not just yet, not until toward the end of fall. And less bugs. But I think for all the cold days of fall, it's what made it not be my favorite. So I would have to say that fall is my second favorite season. And even if I didn't go somewhere, I'd be watching like a YouTube video or something like that. Once I start watching stuff on YouTube, and I would see all the different places where the leaves will be changing, not just in the US, but other places in the world. And I'm like, oh wow, it's so pretty. And I found it unique that the weather might be the same on an island somewhere, or like the seasons actually were about the same. It wasn't just in the US. And I found that interesting. Now in some places, you're probably gonna tell me I live in this state, by fall, girl, it's snowing already. But overall, I was just fascinated with that. Like I said, you could plan to go somewhere else. I didn't travel a lot back then, but it was almost a certainty that they were in the same season. So yeah, fall, it's really nice. Light jackets, and if you don't know, I have a coat, boot, and before it was a purse, now it's a backpack problem. And so here would come some of the lightweight jackets. And I would have to say, even now, and I love boots. Mainly just regular. I'm not really into like stiletto or anything like that. My balance, I don't feel like, you know, it being like I'm on a tightrope or something, trying to keep my balance. I've never really been a stiletto boot or a stiletto shoe person. And the wedges, where the heel gets skinnier towards the back, already know. Till this day, I still can barely balance in them and walk. But I think that's another thing that I liked about fall, was I didn't mind having my feet covered up. And then there's days where you can wear flats, tennis shoes. So I guess it's somewhat of a more versatile season. And I don't know, maybe as time goes on, it will switch to being my favorite. And I think also because I get to use more of my wardrobe. So if I think of anything else for fall, I'll let you guys know. Winter, oh, we're at 19 minutes, 26 seconds. What can I say? It's raining right now. It's been raining since last night, on and off. It's cold. I don't like having to bundle up. You get all warm. If you're in your car, you get ready to get out, and it's freezing cold. And everybody, I would have to say, well, there's a degrees where everybody was like, no, it's cold. Other than that, I would have to say that for some people, they can do t-shirt, jeans, maybe a jacket, and you're fine. Even in a place where I would consider it extremely cold. So like if they would come to California, or if I would meet up with them in another state, they're like, this is not cold. You know, I live so, in this place, I don't know what state to think of. I don't think I've ever known anybody like from Colorado or the East Coast. So I can't remember the actual states. No, I can't think of them. I just know that, like they said, where I'm from, it's cold. But it's just not a favorite season of mine. And on top of being cold, it's either raining or there's hail falling, or, I mean, there's here, well, I want to say monsoons, but monsoon season for us is like the middle of May to, I don't know, I think like the last week of September, maybe. And before, usually it was at night, in the day, you couldn't even tell it happened, but sometimes it would be in the day as well. So that would be a small possibility that we wouldn't quite be out of monsoon season just yet. Usually, like I said, I think around the end of September it's done. But the only thing, that I like about winter are the holidays. Here comes Thanksgiving. I like spending time with my family and eating. Even if we stay here in town, the food part's my favorite part. And 9 times out of 10, my husband is off and he won't have that much work to do that day. And what I tell people is he does not have time off. He just has time away from his computer. So he does work 7 days a week. And me, like I said, it's random. If I have receipts to put in my spreadsheet, if I have a payment I received, then like I don't know what you want to call it, transfer invoice, whatever, then I document that as well. Other than that, my schedule's pretty free for work. So, yeah, the holidays, Christmas, just in general. And I think it's starting not to bother me how fast they switch up in the stores for the items you can buy, because I'm used to it. And I look at things kind of more by the season that they're in, and not so much the actual day. But there's two things so awkward. I've noticed growing up, I really noticed this in my early and mid 20s and early 30s, that around the holiday times, especially a little closer to Christmas, everyone's happy, they're all joyful, they're talking about where they're gonna go. The kids got out for like 3.5 weeks. They were out all the way from, I think, the Friday before Christmas, all the way to the end of the first week in January. And then in January, Monday usually was like a service day or something like that. And so even if the teachers had to be there, the students didn't. And it could be the 8th, the 9th. It just all depended. I think the latest in January that school started back might have been the 10th or the 11th. So there was all that time. And everyone's talking about, oh, especially when I was at work, there with the kids. They were gonna go see their grandparents, and they were just super excited. It was like everyone was happy. As I got older, I noticed it's more of a cross the world thing, right? And so the odd thing, the opposite, is it always seemed to be the time of the year that if financially I wasn't having a hard time, I was then. It seemed to be the time of the year, those last 2 months or so, where I would just have less money. And everyone would say, yeah, me too. And a lot of people say, well, yeah, Christmas presents you will buy, things like that. No. I had to very quickly, by the time I was subbing, I already had a full-time job. So subbing was like in addition to that. So there were times where I worked 7 days a week. I did that for a while. But even then, it was kind of, I won't say not enough, but until I did that, things didn't smooth out. So you can only imagine what happened when I went to just being a substitute teacher and looking for a second job. That became the primary. Just meaning which one I had first, which one I had second. I'm not talking about primary so far as in importance. But I was never really able to buy presents, so it wasn't that. It was just awkward. I don't know if I'm gonna call it a metaphor or what you would call it, but example I guess I can give, it was almost like there's a teeny little vacuum attached to my bank account. So yeah, I think that was the other thing about winter is it was amazing. I hate to say it, Thanksgiving kind of somewhat did it for people, but until the Christmas stuff came out, because back then it would be closer to Christmas, people didn't kind of cheer up. And so for some, Thanksgiving kind of tied them over into Christmas with the joy of just that whole season. And the weather, I mean, it was cold, right? So yeah, it was odd to see both. You would think it would have been the saddest time of the year, but despite the financial part of it, like I said, I guess it's just the joy of the holidays and seasons and of Christmas. The wrapping of presents, things like that, you know. It's nice to see someone else smile. Not that you should have to give them anything, but people like to receive gifts. And some people like to give them. Some people like to receive them. It just all depends, and some people just aren't really into it for whatever reason. But yeah, winter time seems to be an awkward time of the year. And I don't know. Of course, anyone could be going through any things. So you add that to it, and sometimes you don't know the people, but by the time they had a scarf around their neck, they were all smiles. So I would have to say winter is somewhat of a happier time. Not as happy as summer. Summer is the I want to work out, get in shape type thing, right? And a lot of people work out throughout the year, but every now and then you kind of slow down. But if you know summer's approaching, then there you go. And then timing for when you will buy things. If you wanted something for the winter, let's say it was a coat, and you know you needed what you would call a winter coat, then you might start looking around the fall sales. Summertime, you start looking around the end of winter, actually. So yeah, the sales. The sales are nice no matter when they are, and highly appreciated. You guys know I love for discounts. So I would have to say that's it for these seasons. I can't really think of anything else. I don't think I missed any of them. So we have I might as well call it 10 minutes left. But like I said in the beginning, do you have a favorite season? And what is it? And why? I don't know if I want to do that. I was thinking of, especially since I think I talked about it before, not necessarily favorite designers, but I started picturing like the coats and things like that, and the boots, just little things that almost make it impossible for me to walk past them, at least without trying them on. But I think I can tie that in to another clothes topic, and so it's a full topic starting from the beginning. We're really late into the walk. And that's actually all I wrote. Yeah. Okay, so let me think for a second, because I might be forgetting something. I won't say today's video was a spur of the moment thing. The topic kind of was. And the fact that it's been raining since last night. It started back up this morning. I thought about it and I tried to picture the thumbnails of my videos, and I couldn't remember if I had done this topic yet. So if it's a repeat, sorry. I really didn't have time to go back and look. I have a lot of walk and talks, a lot. But I will make it a point to scroll through them and see, maybe on the YouTube studio, and maybe on a computer because it's easier and it's bigger. I have a big screen that I use. That way, maybe I can even take notes so that I'm not doubling up or tripping up on the topic. So yeah, I'll do that as well. And I had an update, I think from yesterday, and I thought you have to remember what it was in order to tell them. So whatever it was, or whatever I told you guys yesterday, I might have to actually watch my video from yesterday so I can see what it was, because I don't remember. And I was trying to think if I had a favorite activity that I like to do in the summer, being that made the top of the list. But the only thing that popped into my mind was travel, but I already talked about that. And I was thinking, I don't like the traveling part of the traveling. I don't know how I get on a plane. I'm afraid of heights, but I do. But even the driving, anything longer than an hour or two, and I'm trying not to have my grumpy face on. If I'm driving, I'm able to just focus, but it's something about taking a long time to get somewhere, unless it's like, Rome, London, Paris. I haven't been to Scotland or Ireland. I would like to go. And so that's expected, obviously. For us, we make our way usually to Jersey, and then we fly out from there. And we break it down. We stay overnight, or almost like a day and a half in Jersey before we go, and when we come back. Because we still have quite a distance to travel to get back here. As a matter of fact, when we land in the airport, we still have to drive no less than an hour. Depending on where we land, back to come back. Sometimes it's longer than that. I don't know, like 5, 6, 7 hours, depending on where we flew out. So when we say we're going on a trip, we go on a trip. It's almost like that part is, obviously it's a part of the trip, but it almost feels, I don't know how to explain that. I think you understand what I'm saying. Like when you go to a place, you have a couple things you plan to do, and then there might be some sightseeing, just walking around. Especially if my husband's been there already, because he becomes my tour guide most of the time. But I think, you know how you go on a vacation and you come back and you feel like you need a vacation from the vacation? I think that's what that is for me. Is the longer it takes to get somewhere, the more tired I am when I come back. And I am going to tell you guys, I am so happy that we are at 35 minutes and 39 seconds. I don't have any credits for us today. Yesterday in the second walk, I tried to walk an extra 5 minutes to credit it towards this walk, and I couldn't. My second walk, let me tell you, 40 minutes came and I almost pushed it right on 40 minutes. I was like, I'm done. I already walked 40 minutes. Before that, I was tuckered out, okay? I was tired. And now I'm gonna have to rush, and I mean rush to get ready. So yeah, but I'm feeling nauseous. Not a good thing. Most of the time, that means there's a expectancy of a baby. Not me, but I'm like, oh my gosh. I get those sympathy symptoms and I get so sick from it. So I'm up here, and honestly, all I'm thinking is breathe, breathe, just try and hold it in. I don't know if I'm still smelling some type of cleaning product. It might be something out here, now that I think about it, but usually someone's pregnant. So I guess I'll find out sometime this week. That I won't tell on the walk, just in case you're wondering. I'll just say I found out who it was. I don't give names, or even if it's like a relative or a friend. That's as far as I go with that, just in case you're wondering. If you are the person and you're watching, no, they won't know it was you. But when I find out, the symptoms stop. So I'm hoping to find out sooner than later. And I think I've talked about it. There's a name for it. Of course, there's a name for everything, right? And I think it's Couve. I don't know how to say it. C-O-U, I think V-A-D-E syndrome. And it's the sympathy symptoms. And then if you read about it, it tells you like people that are close to that person. It's not just if they have like a significant other. But it was interesting that I think it said that usually for most people, or for some, we'll say some, it wouldn't stop the symptoms until the person had the baby. And I'm going to tell you, I am so happy if that's what's going on. Why they would have to call it a syndrome, I don't know. Never really looked up the word. But for me, that's not the case. And I'm really, really thankful for that, because until I looked it up to see if there was even a name for it, for having sympathy symptoms for someone, and instead of just it being called that, that was what I read. That's interesting. I don't know why that is. And I don't think it said why. I think it started talking about like no cure for it or something, but I don't know. I don't really see it as an illness, so maybe I'll look that up. I don't think it's classified as an illness like it. Well, I won't say you don't get sick, right? But it's not like having the flu or something like that, being that kind of sick. So yeah, maybe I'll do a little bit more research on it and talk about it on the next walk. But for anyone, they can honestly say, And you know what the usual thing is? A dream about fish, things like that. Like one of my family members, they say that when they have those kind of dreams, someone's pregnant. But mine are the symptoms. So, yeah, and they can get pretty bad. Well, we're at 40 minutes. Not sure how we got on that topic, but at least I found something to talk about. Let me see. The button's over here. Okay, so we're 1.6 for distance, 172 calories. Okay, and it worked. I was thinking, hopefully it stops. There's been about 2, maybe 3 times where I pushed the stop button and it kept going. So yeah, that was not fun having to get off of it because I think I was walking faster than that. I was a little closer to speed 3 and at that incline, and the motor that's in here, I think makes it a little bit more powerful over treadmill. I think that is possibly the only good thing about this thing. I already gave you guys a warning about that, so if you want to know, go watch some of my other walks. I'm sure you'll find it, because I think I did almost a whole walk on it, and I was just telling you guys, like, I don't want to bad talk any company, but to be careful. So if you want to know what type of treadmill I use, I should have an actual walk. And I think I show, like, not the setup, but like the first day we put it over here. So yeah, I'm gonna go, and I'm just gonna, I gotta pick up everything after I stop recording. You guys have a safe and great day. And as always, thank you for watching. I hope that your workout is going well. Bye.